some questions. So,
all right, good evening, Earth. This is Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion House, New Mexico. Smacking my tripod with my elbow. Working on oil painting
I think we have about 30 minutes.
Medusa's crown. Okay, this evening I am going to start with the first layer of highlight color
So the more
on all
concise
of the
everyone
background
is, more
faces
questions Dr. Matte can answer. Deal?
with a light blue.
So
Here we
you'll
go.
see some folks wandering through the bottom section here. Sorry balcony. Down here we've got some folks with microphones. Raise your hands and state your seat. And some of our lovely volunteers will be by with a microphone for questions for Dr. Matte. I see one back here.
Just wave your hand. Okay.
Hi, Dr. Matte.
Hi.
So my question is, what can you speak to when a lot of recovery programs are fully abstinence-based? What can you say to including psychedelic-assisted therapy in someone's recovery plan? What are the kinds of things an individual should consider before looking into that? Should it be on the table? What kind of risk is involved there?
Did you say psychedelic assisted therapy? Yeah. Well, look, there's a much broader question, which is embedded in your question. Most addiction treatment facilities don't deal with trauma. They don't deal with causes, they deal with effects. So they're trying to change the behavior, but the behavior is only a symptom. Symptom of what? Emotional pain based on early experience and desperation. Until you deal with that, you're just dealing with the surface. So addiction programs need to finally get the message that it's about trauma. It's about people being wounded. And I'm telling you, I don't go anywhere in the world. Literally, I'm fortunate to have lived long enough to see this. I don't go anywhere in the world without people in the streets coming up to me thanking me. Because I helped them to understand that their addiction wasn't a fault, a moral failure, a character weakness. It was a response to trauma, and they can heal that. It happened here already in Kelowna. So, and I also know that many programs have taken on a trauma-based view, not sufficiently. Again, as I said, the average medical doctor doesn't get a single lecture on trauma. It's unbelievable. So, it's a much larger issue than just psychedelics. Now, to answer specifically about psychedelics, they can be helpful. They're not magic pills. To the extent that they help, it's not because they change your brain. It's not like you're taking a drug to change your brain. It's not like taking Prozac for depression, which changes the chemistry of your brain. The psychedelics don't do that. They only last in the system for a few hours. What they do is they give you a glimpse of your unconscious. All the pain, the fear that you've been running away from. And that might even help you recall where you developed that pain and that fear. But they help you do it with the consciousness of an adult. So you get a glimpse of your childhood emotional states, but as a conscious adult. Now this depends on really good help being available. So I believe they do have an important role to play, potentially. They're not for everybody. Some people shouldn't take them at all. But well chosen in a safe environment with well-trained facilitators, I've seen them do wonderful things for people with addictions. In the context of a much longer recovery and healing program, not as a standalone thing. Okay?
Hello, Dr. Matte.
Yeah, so can you just show me where you are?
I'm right here.
Okay, hi.
Hello, it's
Hi.
a pleasure. I guess this hits really close to home. I used to work at the Youth Recovery House in Kelowna.
Yeah.
And our youth really resonated with your work. we held a lot of workshops on trauma and therapy, and they loved your chapters, they loved your TED Talks, and so first of all, I just wanted to say that there's so much happening behind closed doors that you might not be seeing, and people enjoying your work. So I just
I'm
want to
also
say
so glad to hear that.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
The second thing I wanted to really ask you about is, we talk about people and their mental health and addiction, and I moved on from that job. I'm now doing my master's and PhD in clinical psychology, and there's so many mental health professionals out there that have all this training and that know some of what you're talking about. And you're talking about also physicians having their set of training and how it's different. And we can look to other countries like New Zealand, and they have integrated care, so they have primary health care providers with mental health professionals alongside, and yet BC doesn't have that. And I look at the statistics, and I look around the room, and I see all these people responding to your wonderful questions, and so much of us have dealt with mental health in our families, in our communities, and addiction. Over 50% of people that go to their primary care providers, such as a physician or a nurse practitioner in BC, have an underlying mental health issue. And that's huge. And just as you've alluded to...
Okay, well, I'll ask you to come to your question, okay?
Yeah, just as you've alluded to, you didn't get that training in medical school, and so my question to you is, what do you think about integrating mental health professionals into primary healthcare centers, and why is BC lacking behind, whereas other countries acknowledge your teachings and are building upon that?
Well, first of all, I don't have to really elaborate on your statement, because I absolutely agree with it. You know, the need for integration and interprofessional collaboration and a multifaceted approach, absolutely. Look, I don't know why BC, or Canada in general, or the United States in general, or England in general. You know, a lot of countries are lacking that kind of integration. Again, I said that the Western mind splits things into part, things that can't be separated. We live in a Western mindset, really a colonial mindset. You know, and that's just, now, I can tell you that for all the invitations I get to speak around the world, I never get one from my home university, UBC. I'm not taking it personally, but you know, actually this year I did. I did give a talk for the Alumni Association a couple of weeks ago. I've been asked to give grand rounds at Children's Hospital in a couple of weeks. The BCMJ, BCMJ asked me to write an article on trauma. Well, that's amazing. I've only been yelling about it for the last quarter century. But you know, so I'm saying there's slight shifts, but there's tremendous institutional inertia. There's tremendous institutional inertia. And generally, the people that make it into governing or decisive positions in institutions are the ones least likely to look at this stuff. That's just how it works. How to shift it, just keep plugging away.
Question from the back here.
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah, hi? Yeah, where?
I'm on the other side.
Oh, the other side, okay, yeah,
Hello.
hi.
Hi, doctor.
Hi.
I wanted to ask a question regarding kind of how we contextualize this within world events. I think we're all seeing a lot of traumatizing content from parts of the world that are going through very difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
The ones I'm thinking about as a Palestinian are Gaza and Palestine specifically.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing is a lot of mental health practitioners champion this idea that the best way for us collectively to move through this is to look away and guard our own selves and our discomfort.
Yeah.
What do you think about that in terms of a way of taking care of ourselves, but also a way, or like what responsibilities do we still have towards other people while shielding ourselves from things like that?
Okay. Well, look, that's everybody's individual call. If your simple goal is to shield yourself, protect yourself, don't look at it, don't engage with what's going on. But I'm telling you, as a Jew, I grew up with this. When I was 11 years or so, I really found out about the Holocaust. For years, my head was spinning every day with the question, how could this have happened? How could the world could have let this happen? I'm seeing now how the world can let it happen. Parents are picking their kids' bones out of the rubble, and the world is ignoring it, and letting it happen. And our politicians are even cheering it on. It sickens me. So we can have a decision about, should we just look after ourselves? I don't blame anybody who comes to that decision. That is too painful, it's too harrowing, it's just too terrible to pay attention to. I can understand that. But are you going to be a complete human being if you do that? And what does it mean to be a complete human being? So I decided, for myself at least, that no, I'm not going to look away, and I'm not going to stay silent. And I totally understand the trauma of my own people. I totally understand the trauma of my own people that potentiated this situation. They took our trauma from Europe and we imposed it on the Palestinians, is what we did, in an effort to save ourselves. So as one traumatized people has been traumatizing another people now for the last 80 years, as you know. That's how I see it. And so trauma has a lot to do with what's going on. I'm not excusing anybody. I'm not excusing Jews acting out of trauma to traumatize somebody else to save themselves, which is what they did. I'm not excusing what happened on October the 7th as a response to the trauma that no, these acts are all inexcusable. But we have to understand the context. And just to answer your personal question, it's a choice for all of us. It's a choice for all of us. And when Justin Trudeau said that, we support Israel because we have the same values, yes, you do. You both were established on indigenous land by suppressing the indigenous population. And we have to come to terms with that. It's not a question of Canada folding up our tents and going back to Europe or Asia, wherever we came from. I'm not going to do that. Nor will the Jewish population of Israel go away back to Europe or wherever they might have to come from. But if we want peace looking forward in this country, we have to really look our history in the face and realize what we've done here. When I say we, I don't mean as individuals. I mean as a culture. Are we happy with the fact that indigenous people died 20 years younger than the rest of us? That 50% of the women in jail, are we happy with that? Is that okay? Are there some reasons for that maybe we could understand and look at and rectify? Is it okay that indigenous nations don't have potable water in 21st century Canada? Is that okay? And I'm saying the same thing needs to apply in the Middle East. Not to undo history, but to look it in the face. And again, each of us individually has to decide, yes, we want our safety, we want our comfort, we have to look after ourselves, and sometimes we do have to disengage, but overall, what will make us a complete human being, that when we look back on our lives, we'll be happy with. For my own part, it's not disassociating from reality. Okay?
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm over here.
Hi.
It's really nice to meet you. I've been a big fan for a really long time. My name's Stephanie. I'm a third-year biochemistry student at UBC here, and I want to be a physician largely because of your work. And to preface my question, I just want to say that you are inspiring a generation of physicians who will not be silent.
I'm so glad to hear that. Just don't argue with your teachers very much.
Oh no, don't worry, I do that plenty. But
Okay.
my honors thesis is I'm designing a a project about how we can link trauma and addiction education to biochemistry and present that to biochemistry students. And
Oh,
I'm going
okay.
to teach it as a module for one of our classes.
Okay.
So that'll happen in the next
Yeah.
few years, so that's exciting. But
Yeah.
my question was, what advice do you have for future physicians, particularly because I know it is a very taxing role, and I do identify with a lot of what you're saying about, you know, being a workaholic and the need to be on it.
Yeah. So look, there's been a study on medical. I cite this in this book. There's something called. Do you know what telomeres are?
Yes.
Okay. So telomeres, for those that don't know, are chromosomal or DNA structures at the end of our chromosomes. They're made up of DNA, but they're like, see these shoelaces. There's a glue at the end to keep the threads from unraveling. So telomeres are at the end of our chromosomes to keep them from unraveling. And we're born with a certain number of units of them, maybe 10,000, and by the time we die there's 4,000. So they fray, they erode with age and with stress. They looked at medical students, medical residents, and they found that over a year their telomeres shortened more than other people their age. In other words, they got older faster. So you gotta look after yourself. And unfortunately, well, it's changing, I think, in a positive sense, but physicians, anybody going to the health profession, psychologists, nurses, they should be guided to work on their own emotional stuff. Because the more you do, the more present and understanding you'll be with your clients, but also the better able you'll be to take care of yourself. So I say to you, take care of yourself. Do what you can. Number one, doing the emotional work as well. Number one. Number two, you're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get your degree. You might as well accept that. That's how it is, you know. And when you do, you'll find your own path. That's what I can tell you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, no, sorry, other side. No. Hi. I'm in
Okay, yeah, okay, hi.
My question's a little bit different than
I'm sorry,
everyone
people are
else's.
waving their hands. Stand up, would you? We're asking the question.
Yes, I am standing up. I'm
Over
reading.
to your
You're standing.
left, Dr. Mate. Over here. Over in the orange.
Okay, yeah, okay,
It's
go
really
ahead.
bright up here.
Thank you.
I'm dealing with a high
Let
conflict.
me go to the mic here. That's it. Okay, start again, yeah?
I'm dealing with a high conflict parent who suffers from schizophrenia.
Yeah.
We have a young child.
A parent,
and
a
my-
parent, a parent?
A parent, yes, my ex. And I'm just wondering, for what she has already experienced in her young life, is it healthy to continue? Yes, it's her father, but because of the volatile issues and schizophrenia that they suffer from, what are things I need to be looking out for her development-wise?
Actually, I just want to make sure I get it. Are you saying that your father's child, your child's father is schizophrenic?
Yeah.
Are you still together?
No, but he's
You're
still
not, okay.
in her life.
So the question is how to protect your child?
Yeah, like obviously that's her dad. I'm not going to have a relationship, but it's definitely not healthy.
Yeah.
And things to look out for her.
How old is your child?
She's 2.
2.
Yeah.
Does she spend time with the dad?
Yes.
In your presence or on her own?
In my house, yes.
Okay. Is that because you want that to happen, or he wants it to happen, or who's making?
It's both.
So you both want it to happen.
Yeah, they need to be supervised visits, so like he can't be alone with
Okay.
her.
Well, look, the child needs to feel absolute security, and you can provide that. No, look, let me tell you something. You might not be cheered up by this, but your husband's or your child's father's schizophrenia, psychosis is rooted in trauma. Okay? Number one. Number two, we always marry somebody at the same level of trauma that we're at. So you wouldn't have been with this man had you not been traumatized yourself. Are you with me? Okay. So the best thing you can do for your child is to work on your own stuff.
Yes.
so that you can, because the more you do, the more present you'll be able to be for her, and more protective you'll be of any negative influences that might enter from any other source. So the most important thing you can do is, I really suggest you read a couple of my books, the Hold On To You Kids, it's a parenting book, and perhaps The Myth of Normal as well. Look after yourself, do your own healing, and absolutely provide that attachment relationship for the child where they feel safe and they can express their emotions. And tune into it.
Alright.
And if after a while you
So that's a
find that
pretty
the
short
visits are
session
more
on this,
upsetting
but my
for
back's a little
the
sore, and that's a
mom,
kind of a
now
funky
reconsider
angle
the
for this
situation.
first layer of small faces.
Ideally, you'll be able to have the
So I'm going to
father
cut this one a little
clockwise.
short to zoom in on what we've done there. I hope that wasn't my shoulder the whole time I tried to move the stool back and to the
Not
right.
suspicious, but vigilant.
We'll
And
see.
provide
But as you
that
can
safe
see, that starts lighting up those
environment
faces.
coming from your own self-awareness.
The first layer obviously is the smallest, so it's the most intricate and probably the slowest session.
I think we have time.
And
We have time for
try and preserve that
questions, and I do
color
see
so I
that
can
there's a
keep
mic
the
here at
identical
back on the
tone
right-hand side, waving.
throughout
Yep,
the
we see
highlight
waving back
layer.
there.
But that's it for the
And
moment.
then we have one
So
over
thank you
here,
for
so we'll
watching.
just
That's
take
Adam
those
Sturch
last few
Podcasting
questions,
from
and
the
then we'll
Mushroom
wrap up.
Mansion, Taos, New Mexico. Working on oil painting Medusa's crown. Have a good night, Earth.